Submarine silence!
Hey, Mean Matt here. So, it appears that I did a review of WrestleMania 19 a few years ago. Just quick mention, I know yesterday I said WWE quite a bit for WrestleMania 18. Just to, I guess, say that in fact, this was the last time that the World Wrestling Federation would exist. Hence, they bring in WWE World Wrestling Entertainment. So now we get to WrestleMania 19, and like I said just now, I did a review a couple of years ago, and I labeled it probably one of the worst WrestleManias at the time. But now that I'm older and a little bit wiser, we'll see how it fans out. Maybe I won't see something that's that bad. I don't know. Let's find out. So, we take place at Simcoe Field in California, I believe. It's a new era, of course, it's World Wrestling Entertainment. New things are happening. This year seems to be a little interesting, a little bit out of tradition. Maybe that's why I think it sucks. But we get to the dark match. Lance Storm and Chief Sean Morley, the Tag Team Champions, defeated Kane and Rob Van Dam. Oh, it's with the Dudley boys. Okay. Oh, no. The Dudley boys apparently were in their corner, so this is how it's okay. And just a little more to point out, this was actually the first outdoor main event since WrestleMania 9. It was sort of indoors, but outdoors as well. I guess you could say. So then we get the WrestleMania 19. Start off with the Cruiserweight Championship. Matt Hardy with Shannon Moore versus Rey Mysterio. And you know, it's kind of funny because you get Rey Mysterio in a Marvel costume. You get Matt Hardy, who isn't exactly a Cruiserweight champion, but with the help of Shannon Moore, we get the Matt Hardy, who exercises, gets his weight down to a cruiserweight. And so he gets into the matchup. He wins the Cruiserweight Championship on the SmackDown. So we get to WrestleMania 19, and he takes on Rey Mysterio. Now, I wish Rey Mysterio would have gotten the title, but it went to Matt Hardy. And it's kind of funny now, looking back, you know, it's me one! Ah! And then now it's broken Matt Hardy. Yeah, it's funny how characters evolve, eh? Anyways, then we get a handicap match. And, you know, this is supposed to be a tag team match. This will be the Undertaker's 11th streak, and it's supposed to be A-Train and Big Show versus Nathan Jones, the first time ever, the ex-convict from Australia, and the Undertaker. So yeah, the Undertaker is still the American Badass. You know, he's coming out to Limp Bizkit. Of course, this is the theme where Limp Bizkit has no, hell, I can't remember. Oh, I think it's Crack Addict, which I think is a weird song for kids. Anyway, so you get Limp Bizkit, who also does the theme music, of course, Rollin', which was the Undertaker's theme a year ago. So, there's that. There's the fact that here it is, these guys are finally here to perform, and yeah, it was alright. I may not be a fan of Fred Durst, but I do have respect for the fact that they came out and they did that, for The Undertaker. I don't think it fit him, but, there it is. This match went, mostly on Big Show and Albert, seeing as how the full-blooded Italians attacked Nathan Jones earlier and Sunday Night Main Event or Sunday Night Heat. And so the match went actually Albert and Big Show's way until Nathan Jones came out, and then it was an official take match where The Undertaker and Nathan Jones won. And then, Undertaker, the American badass, bringing out the American Old Glory flag. Patriotic, whatever. This was a good match, Well, yeah, this was a good match, I think. Unfortunately, Nathan Jones didn't stick around that much longer. I'm not sure if he went to another territory or he went back to jail. I heard something about him recently, but I can't remember exactly what that was. So, then we get to the Triple Threat Women's Championship match. It's sort of like the one on the year before, except it's Trish Stratus, Jazz, and the Women's Champion Ivory with Stevie Richards, nonetheless. This was a good pair, I should say. Stevie Richards and Victoria. I thought it was really cool. And what do you know? Trish Stratus becomes the new Women's Champion. Wow. So, it goes from now winning in your hometown the year before to finally getting the gold. And yeah, Trish Stratus was the Women's Champion before, but just think, you don't get your dues until the year after, It's kind of weird. She did eventually retire in Toronto, and, so at least she did get a happy ending there. Then we get Team Angle, which consisted of Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas, and I believe they were in OVW. They did go to Ring of Honor eventually as the world's greatest tag team. And Charlie Haas left. And then shortly after, Shelton Benjamin. There was a rumor that Shelton Benjamin was going to be WrestleMania, whatever it was. And then he was going to be a part of the SmackDown roster again. And unfortunately, it was just that, rumors. They went to face Los Guerreros, which was Eddie and Chavo Guerrero, and also Chris Benoit and Rhyno for the WWE Tag Team Championship. And Team Angle won. But with Los Guerreros, there was a wrestling game a few years prior to that. And you can make your own team. It could be the same wrestlers as, present day, but you can make up your own. Or you can make up your own tag team. And Los Guerreros didn't exist at the time, so I just had Eddie and Chavo team together. Knowing that they were WrestleMania, they were wrestling in WCW, and they were related, uncle and nephew, just really cool tag team, and Eddie was always a great talker and just all around. It was cool, but Team Angle won. And this match, at the time I don't think I liked it, but it is what it is. I think, it could have been better, but whatever. Then we get the dream match, which was Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho. And again, this was not as good back then as I'm pretty sure it would be now. You know, I'm not a fan of Shawn Michaels. At the same time, it would have been cool to see Shawn Michaels versus Chris Jericho. And Chris Jericho idolizing Shawn Michaels when he was younger. Just copying sort of the style of the Rockers. You know, right up Chris Jericho's alley. This was a good match, despite the fact that I, didn't like it at first. You had a lot of styles of skinning the cat with both wrestlers. You had the both of them do sweet chin music, but it wasn't without Shawn Michaels winning, and then the ultimate show of respect, or so we thought, of Chris Jericho crying and then going to hug Shawn Michaels and then kneeing him in the groin. And then other stuff. So apparently that was kind of like planned. And so they would feud a few years later. It would be a bit better. You know, what do you know? This was a pretty good match though. Like I said, it could have been better. Then we get to the World Heavyweight Championship match. My thoughts have not changed. I still think it's bullshit. I think that with the outcome, Booker T and Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship. Obviously, the Royal Rumble, you saw SmackDown's Brock Lesnar win. So they put in a Royal Rumble, or a Battle Royal, no less, for the Raw brand. And, of course, this is when the split happened again, and Booker T won. So, you would think, okay, so maybe we'll see what happens. Maybe Booker T will get his. And actually, the night before, I had a dream where, honestly, it was Booker T versus Triple H in a weird stipulation match, and Booker T won. This case, this didn't happen. I don't know if it's jealousy. I don't know if Paul Effect doesn't. Well, obviously, there's that reputation where he doesn't like to lose. But there's also the fact that Booker T's leg was injured, and that's why he didn't win. Regardless, they faced each other again a few years later, and Triple H, although he came back, still lost to King, or still had beaten King Booker. So, Booker T has never won against Triple H. I still think it's bullshit, but, it is what it is. Everyone knows Paul Effect's reputation. Then we get to a really good match. It was a street fight. It was Mr. McMahon versus Hulk Hogan. A lot of people give flack to Vince McMahon, saying that he's a bad guy, he's an asshole, blah, blah, blah. But, here's the thing. You get a guy who, he did all these things to many different wrestlers, but always he did justice to them. You think WrestleMania 19, the big storyline with him and Hogan. This whole bullshit about Mr. America can go blowing up their ass. But you get this thing with Hulk Hogan. And that was a storied rivalry. Hulk Hogan leaving for WCW. Hulk Hogan testifying against the steroid thing in 92. You get a lot of history there. Hogan being a brand name. It makes sense that they would wrestle. Or fight, in this case. And this was a good match. They went back and forth. There was blood. There was everything. There was the McMahon devious looking up at Hulk Hogan in a crimson mask. And who comes down for the surprise? None other than Roddy Piper. He has a lead pipe. What happens? He hit Hogan. And that was it. You all know that Hulk Hogan had history with Piper. And then, it's a shame that, it didn't really end up. That WCW fights, I'm not sure if they wrestled in TNA. But you have Hogan, who was the big guy. You have Piper, who could have been the big guy, and never was, but in his own way was a great wrestler. And it's a shame that it's still a big shock to me that Piper's gone. Because we were never going to see the last final showdown. And, it is a big fat shame. Unfortunately, things happen. But Hogan won, and Shane McMahon came out and went to Vince, who showed Vince the winning Hogan. And, of course, you get Vince McMahon's version of the finger. That was funny. But this was a good match. This was probably my favorite part of WrestleMania 19. Then we get The Rock versus Stone Cold Steve Austin for the third time. And so the first time, you get the first time. It was a good match. It was a good feud leading up to it. But then we get WrestleMania 17. And this match was good. We had two faces, or so we thought. But we got the surprise heel turn of Steve Austin. Well, now we get The Rock coming back as a heel. Because, he became a Hollywood guy. He comes back. He becomes a heel and turning on the fans. Changing his theme music, doing things different, going back to the way he used to. And then we get the returning Stone Cold Steve Austin, who before came out at No Way Out to face Bischoff, and, regrets the fact that he left in 2001. So, the match is set after The Rock comes back. You get The Rock concert, and then Austin, beating the shit out of him. But then you get the match. This was a good match. It went back and forth. The main difference between The Undertaker and Triple H and The Rock and Austin is that The Rock finally beat Stone Cold Steve Austin. Or more or less, Stone Cold Steve Austin let The Rock win. And more or less because he got injured. He couldn't hack it in the ring anymore, just the way it is. And he couldn't wrestle. He didn't want to further the injury. So he had to retire. And thus, having The Rock win, The Rock at the end of the match told Steve that he loved him, in earshot so nobody could hear. And that's the way it is, And it's unfortunate, but I knew somehow it was going to happen. And then shortly after, Steve Austin got fired. And then became the general manager. And, the history goes on. And then the main event happens. We have Kurt Angle, the WWE champion, versus Brock Lesnar. And this was an interesting feud. These guys are both high school amateur wrestlers. They both had a history of that. They also wrestled in different... Well, Brock Lesnar did. Kurt Angle kinda did. You had the whole Team Angle thing. Eric Angle filling in for Kurt, when he was pretending to pray so that Kurt could jump Brock Lesnar. You had a lot of good reasons for this match to happen and a good setup. So this match was good. I think that, you have to pull out all the stops, and then the unthinkable happens. And you think, okay, so Brock Lesnar's a big guy. Why is he on the top rope? But he thought, okay, a lot of F5s, and it won't do anything, so I better do something drastic. And, this is way before Suplex City. So you get Brock Lesnar, who goes on the top rope and does a moonsault, misses Kurt by this much. Almost I think he did break his neck. Almost ended his career. So then, as tough as he is, he doesn't let anybody know that he's hurt. I think Kurt broke his neck too, but I'm not sure how. So yeah, it's F5 and new WWE champion. And we knew that something was wrong because you could see Brock Lesnar's glazed eyes at the end of the match, which was really freaky. But they hugged, and that was it. And the new champion was born. Oh, I forgot there was a gown match in between. Yeah, Troy Wilson and Steve Keebler, and I think someone else. Yeah, I guess I didn't pay attention. Well, that match happened anyways. They weren't really much of a wrestler anyways. Anyway, so that was WrestleMania 19. And first time that the WWE happened, World Wrestling Entertainment. Yeah. So, maybe it wasn't as bad as I thought. But it wasn't the greatest. I still think it wasn't the greatest. So that was WrestleMania 19. It wasn't really that painful, I guess. There has been worse. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye.